God calls us to test the prophets, and the book of Deuteronomy gives very clear instructions on how to put a prophet to the test. The following are a few of these tests of a prophet, with specific references for each one.
The Adventist Church was founded on prophecies concerning the second coming of Jesus Christ. It's no coincidence that the Bible contains many warnings about false prophets. The Bible test of a false prophet in Deuteronomy chapters 13 and 18 is simply whether or not the prophecy comes true. It's a matter of historical record that the following prophecies of Ellen G. White did not come true as she foretold.
Then I was pointed to some who are in the great error of believing that it is their duty to go to Old Jerusalem and think that they have work to do there before the Lord comes. I saw that Satan had greatly deceived some in this thing. I also saw that Old Jerusalem never would be built up.
The exact opposite of Ellen White's prediction has happened. Old Jerusalem has been greatly built up in the years since 1948, when Israel became a nation. She was absolutely wrong. Again, Mrs. White foretold in early writings that she would be among the living saints when Jesus returned.
Soon our eyes were drawn to the east, for a small black cloud had appeared, about half as large as a man's hand, which we all knew was the sign of the Son of Man. The graves opened, and in the same moment we were changed and caught up together with them to meet the Lord in the air.
Mrs. White was not among the living saints seen in her vision. This event did not occur in her lifetime. We are still looking for the glorious return of our Lord Jesus Christ. Rather than being caught up with the living saints at Jesus' return, Mrs. White died on July 16, 1915, and was buried beside her husband James. Another one of her prophecies failed. Like others of her time, Mrs. White taught the imminent end of the world to spur on her workers. In early writings in the 1850s, she urged the new converts on, telling them they only had a few months to wait.
But now time is almost finished, and what we have been years learning, they will have to learn in a few months.
These were not isolated prophecies, but restated over and over again. In May 1856, at a church meeting in Battle Creek, Michigan, Mrs. White boldly stated,
I saw that some of those present would be food for worms, some subjects for the 7 last plagues, and some would be translated to heaven at the second coming of Christ without seeing death.
In biblical times, she would have been stoned to death for being a false prophet. Mrs. White did not confine her prophesying to the events surrounding the coming of the Lord, but prophesied how foreign governments would act against the United States. In 1862, Ellen White predicted the downfall of the United States following a great war involving many nations. During the Civil War, she prophesied that England would declare war on the northern states and humble them into the dust.
Said the angel, when England does declare war, all nations will have an interest of their own to serve, and there will be general war, general confusion. This nation will yet be humbled into the dust.
History proves the utter error of this prophecy. England did not declare war on the northern states. Other nations did not join in. The United States of America was not humbled into the dust in defeat. Mrs. White, again, clearly to the objective mind, prophesied falsely.
Mrs. White, in a vision, also claimed.
Unfortunately, a lot of people don't want to put a prophet to the test, which makes it very easy for a prophet to end up with many, many followers, even to the point of writing a Bible with verses that have been changed. However, God asks us to put a prophet to the test.